Hey, this is Dave Kyle from Kyle's Wood Touch Up and Repair. Today we're going to, I'm going to continue on, and I'm just going to show you how this is my stitched veneer, and it's already been pressed. So now there's this one little tiny thin line where the veneers meet, and we're going to get rid of that. And I'm going to get some putty. I'm going to show you the technique I use to fill it up really quick, really fast, and very, very accurate. Sometimes if you don't get the seams filled enough as you're sanding, some of the particles can actually chip out and be vibrated out, and so you're left with little pits in your seams. So this is a sure-way technique that I kind of developed in my sense of what to prevent that. And so here we go.
So Dave, these actually look pretty good when you're looking at them. Why would you fill in the seam?
Well, if you don't, and when you put polyurethane or lacquer on there, in reflection of light, you will definitely see your veneer seams. So in any case, whether they're nice and tight or not, I usually want to do it anyway. And so I prevent later on in the finishing, when you look at the finished product in this nice bright sunny day, all you're seeing is wood grain. You're not seeing any gaps or seams or anything else like that. So that's, in high-end work, that's imperative. These people are paying tens of thousands, if not over $100,000 for sure, for high-end work. And anyways, this is the after effect of what I just demonstrated, what I'm going to actually be doing. And so you can see here, and this is how clean cut it looks. And then when I sand down, and this is raw veneer, so I'll show you later on in the video my grinding technique and my sand out into my final sanding product. So in any case, this is the after effect. So I'm going to quickly show you exactly how I do it.
So do you actually have a piece that you've already sanded down to show that you'd barely see any of those seams after?
Yeah, actually, that's a good point, huh? So here's one right now. This is the end panel. Oh, I haven't sanded it. Not quite yet.
Okay.
So anyway, here we go. So again, I'm going right next tight, about a half a mil away from that seam. Okay, so I used to also use a reflection of light to help me guide my eyesight. And now I'm just going just a hair away from that seam again. This piece is about 8 feet long.
So this one looks a little different than those other ones. What is this, Dave?
Well, this is a floating shelf, 8.5 feet long. And this is a customized veneer that's, it goes elongated with the length.
And what type of veneer is this, Dave?
And this is walnut. And so anyways, this is a floating shelf, and the grain actually runs from one side through this way in the same piece that wraps around this way and towards the front, the top I should say. Yeah, you gotta excuse me folks, this is the first time in a very, very long time since I've been on video. And yeah, so I'm not very used to it yet. There we go. Okay, so do that on the other side of the veneer seam. It's a little bit easier on the second round, because I can actually see the equal proportion and make sure that I did hit my seam. Nice and tight. And when this is all done, this gets a very light transparent stain to match existing what's on here on site. And so you know, it's all custom work. Yeah.
So we are actually working on site in using the customer's garage.
Yeah,
So no shop work.
yeah, so this is pretty unique stuff that we're dealing with here on site. So anyways, here we go with my technique on how I'm going to do it. Actually, I'll just go over here. And so I'm going to get some, just lightly, you're going to go all the way down. And we're not talking all the way down to length. We're just going to pick some up more. Pick some more. And then I'm going to push it in. Okay, I'm going to slip that on my finger. I don't like having putty on my other parts of the wood. Okay, I'm just picking up excess right now. So again, I just start doing that again. And I want to do this kind of fairly quickly because this putty does dry fairly quick. Really want to make sure you push it in there. That's why I'm going like that and slip it up. Should be nice and level and flush with the top of the tape. Okay, that gives it some shrinkage room of the wood putty when it starts drying. And so our goal is to make sure that we have enough of that putty over that when it shrinks, we're still above the wood surface.
So the thickness of the tapes acts as your...
A little cushion barrier that you should actually have above the surface so that when it does shrink, it's still above the wood surface. And so these crevices are very, very minor. So there's not a lot of shrinkage. But this is, as I said, this is a high-end job. And I want to make sure it's a flawless job. We're almost done here. I might need a little bit more putty. Sorry, folks. And you go on the negative angle because that encourages the putty to be pushed into those little pits of the crevices of the seam. And if there's other missing slivers, it also helps with that. Now again, you saw me go off the edge on that side, so I'm just going to go left down to here. And again, I don't have the same pressure as my right, so I'll just do it again. There,
So you're adding a lot of pressure?
No, this is a very mild, a little mild on the hard side. It's hard to explain. And poundage, I'd say about 2 pounds, 3. So now I'm taking off the tape, and you're left with the very same seam that we saw earlier. This is the finished product. And when I see all this, it's looking nice and tight. It's looking filled. It's looking above the wood line. And when I go and sand this, that seam, by the time I've done my grinding and done my sanding and stain work, and then when I seal it, it's going to be perfect.
So currently it's wet, so it's going to change to this color when it's dry, and that's when you know you can use it?
That's correct. It dries nice and light like this. Once it dries like this, it's done its shrinkage. So you can go ahead at that time to sand it. I would not sand it before it shrinks because otherwise it will, what they call a sunken joint when the wood putty dries. And it's not a pretty picture, so you have to do it all over again. So anyways,
okay, so Dave, can you show us what this wood putty is?
Oh, this is Famowood. I've been using this for like 30 years. It's been around forever up in Canada here anyway. It's kind of what I live for when it comes to raw wood. And then I have other things after it's been sealed. I have other camouflage and to make things look pretty.
Okay,
So,
well that's great. Thanks,
cheers.
Dave.